Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of The Clueless Capitalist, where we discover interesting startups, interview founders, and help you become less clueless with angel investing. My name is Razi.
My name's Osman, and welcome to The Clueless Capitalist.
So in this episode, we are going to be looking at on-demand deals, also known as ODD. ODD is a social commerce company that transforms empty spaces into quick and profitable businesses by franchising online convenience stores that deliver in minutes. ODD is also part of cohort 8 at Accelerating Asia. Joining us is the founder and CEO of ODD, Fernando. Welcome to the episode, Fernando.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be on the show.
So we always like to start with the pitch deck. So let's start with the pitch deck, and then we'll start asking you questions right after. Okay, we can see the pitch deck on the screen. You can go.
So just take a moment to think about all the families in your life. How many of them need extra income, and how many of them have empty spaces at home? Because we are ODD, a social commerce company from the Philippines, and we're franchising online convenience stores at home. Did you know 4 out of 5 Filipinos want to start their own business? As a matter of fact, 81% of adult Filipinos prefer to go into business. Good news for them is that our ODD stores can average up to $400 in profit with just 2 square meters per month. This is already 1.5x the monthly minimum wage in the Philippines. With these ODD stores, we've empowered entrepreneurs to earn extra income from empty spaces at home. We have ODD stores owned and franchised by stay-at-home moms, mom-and-pop shops, and returned overseas Filipino workers. We have 50 locations live in the Philippines today, and we target to expand to 150 locations live in the Philippines by the end of this year. Now, last year, we grew a lot while being capital efficient. With just $250,000 in capital, we generated $610,000 in gross revenue and $120,000 in gross profit. Now, this year, we're projected to grow even more efficiently. With just $300,000 in capital, we will generate $1 million in gross revenue and $260,000 in gross profit. This is because our franchisees are connected to both supply and demand. They're connected to demand with over 6 million customers in our e-commerce channels. They sell direct to customers via the OddStar app, Grab, Foodpanda, Pikaroo, and TokTok, which all deliver to customers in minutes. They're connected to wholesale supply with over 350 brands and over 7,000 products at an average 20% wholesale discount in our ODD management system. And we make money in 3 ways. We charge a $500 annual franchise fee, which covers our franchise acquisition cost. We earn 10% wholesale margins when selling products to franchisees, and we charge 2.5% transaction fees on the use of the ODD management system and the OddStar app. And we have a huge market opportunity in the Philippines. We have over 1.1 million mom-and-pop shops, over 1.7 million returned overseas Filipino workers. E-commerce is at $14 billion and is projected to grow 17% year-on-year until 2025. And we have 20 plus years experience in e-commerce, fulfillment, logistics, and fintech. We've also raised from venture capital funds and angel investors from the Philippines and Southeast Asia. And we're raising $300,000 to generate $1 million in gross revenue and $260,000 in gross profit. With this money, we'll invest in a private label to increase our gross profit margins, sponsor free deliveries for both franchisees and consumers to provide the best customer experience, and expand to 150 locations nationwide in the Philippines. So, help grow our family of franchisees. You can all scan that QR code and visit our website, www.ondemand.deals, and learn how we empower entrepreneurs for an extra income from empty spaces at home. Thank you.
Now, thanks for sharing, bringing us through the pitch deck. One thing that we like to ask is, what is the origin story? Like, how did this idea come to be, and how did ODD come to be?
So it really started when I was working in Grab. So that was during the pandemic, and I needed help paying for rent, right? So I had a job, but costs were going up, rent, food, all that during the pandemic. And I was actually working in the merchant analytics team. And one thing that's nice about Grab is they actually encourage their employees to sell on the platform. So basically, with empty space at home, I was able to resell a few brands, set up stores on Grab and Foodpanda, and we were able to generate 250,000 pesos, around $5,000 in sales without any marketing. So I live in a 3-bedroom condo on the 4th floor, right? There's no elevator in the condominium that I live in. So there's actually a lot of barriers of entry with just the first store, but we made it work. So for us, it was like, if we can do it in this space, then practically anyone can do it around the metro area.
All right, so this was actually brought about by your own personal experience, and you thought this could work for everyone else. Is that right?
Yeah. So it was really a side hustle at the start. So I was the first odd store franchisee, right? So in a way, it was just, yeah, I had a job. I had some free time. I had some free space. I was blessed with the knowledge of what was selling on the platform. And
right. So if it works for you, it can work for anyone, is basically what you're saying.
And anyone who wants that extra income, right? Like who wants to earn more while that need, would be interested in a business like this, because I'm able to do it from home. I think that's, it's very easy for me to do it.
In terms of where you are right now at this stage, and how you got to Accelerating Asia, can you just give us some more background around that? How you got to your current revenue run rate, etc.
So I think for us, there's a lot of iterations with the business model. I think at the start, we actually operated more like a quick commerce company. So we owned a lot of the locations. We owned a lot of the inventory, which is very asset heavy. So it actually took a while for us to get into this business model where we actually really outsourced the fulfillment, the manpower, even the inventory costs. And I think it was really, experiences going through accelerators that have helped us along the way. So we actually went through Iterative, we went through Idea Space, and we also went through Accelerating Asia. And I think all of them have sort of helped us refine the business model even more. So I think right now it's really being able to, find that sweet spot, because, what we're seeing right now is the bigger the franchise packages that we sell, the better the retention, right? So for example, we have two right now, 250K pesos and 150K pesos, which is around 5,000 and 3,000 US dollars respectively. Since 2021, they actually average 90% and 100% retention respectively in terms of those cohorts. So that's sort of like the direction we're headed towards, and it's really thanks to Accelerating Asia that we're really able to, figure that out and really focus on that in this stage of our life.
Metrics that matter. Before we go into them, what's your North Star metric for your particular business?
So I think our North Star metric are definitely gross revenue and gross profit at the moment. And we also put that in perspective of the capital that we raise, right? So we want to make sure that we return the money and we actually generate more value out of the capital that we're able to raise, and not just, burn it all. So I think those are the three metrics that we're really tracking and really shows the overall health of the company.
And your acquisition cost for customers, who is your customer? Is it the odd store owner, or is it the end consumer?
That's a great question. So we're 100% focused on franchisees. So it's odd store owners. They're our main stakeholder. When they're happy, we're happy. And it's really all about us helping them win so that we win, right? So helping them get the end consumers is actually something that we support them on as well.
One thing that you showed us at the demo day was your inventory platform and the platform itself. Now, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Can you just show that as well, and how that works? And are you able to share that on your screen?
So this is what we call the odd management system. So this is the back end to our odd stores, and all our franchisees have access to the system. So when they check in, they just need to go to franchise management. Here they'll see their sales dashboard in terms of they see their sales across all the platforms, consolidation of all their orders across the platform. So for example, if they look at a specific order, they can see what was ordered by who and when. So they have a summary of all that, and they can easily download reports from the system. This is also where we receive orders on the OddStore app. So whenever consumers shop via our consumer-facing app, this is where the orders flow, and this is where franchisees get notified that, hey, you got an order, you got to prepare, and they update statuses respectively. I think at the core of the system is the marketplace, right? So this is where our franchisees buy their stocks at 20% wholesale discount. They get to see the price, the wholesale price that they pay. and they also get to see the gross profit that they get to earn every time they're able to sell that specific product. So that's sort of like the two benefits that we really provide franchisees. Number one, it's cheap prices on these everyday goods. And number two, an opportunity to earn profit from these everyday goods that they personally also use. So this is where they buy it, and they can filter by price, by category. And, for our, superstar franchisees, this is actually their favorite. It's the inventory management system. So actually allows them to keep track of the stocks in their locations. So this is something that basically that they set up. So stocking locations, their hallway, their laundry area, how much inventory they have in these locations. So based on that specific product, how much are usable, how much are unusable. They can do pull-outs, cycle counts. So whenever they need to do a physical count and update their inventory, they can do that as well. We have the complete products module here. So every franchisee can see all the products that we have on our system, and again, easily downloadable by report. And we also handle transactions here as well. So any refunds on the odd management system and the Oddster app basically goes into this. Yeah, that's the odd management system and all its features.
And are you able to show how the how you would plug that into, let's say, Grab or any of the other online marketplaces? Is that something you can demonstrate here?
So currently, it's not yet integrated via Grab and Foodpanda. What we have is a form to fill out. So every time they get an order, so they basically receive orders on these POS devices. So one for Grab, one for Foodpanda. Whenever they get an order, a receipt prints out, and they read that receipt, pick products from their storage, pack into an eco bag, and dispatch the rider. So whenever that happens.
Fernando,
yeah.
Can you just show us those POS devices again? Sorry.
There. So we have one for.
They would have those in.
And yeah, they encode orders on our platform here. So they select the sales channel, which they receive that order. So these are all the channels that we work with. They put the order number, the store name, because actually locations can have multiple stores. So this is actually a strategy that we're also developing right now. It's really the populating search as much as we can on the platforms. Input customer details, customer name, customer contact number, the products that customer has ordered, and any vouchers that customer has used. So this is really how the system gets data from platforms like Grab and Foodpanda.
And is the intention to do a tighter integration? Is that in the future or not?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's one of our top priorities. So I would say one priority is definitely integrating with sales channels, so it's seamless flow. The vision is one POS device to rule them all. So instead of having managing so many stores, I just want it to be one POS device. Our management system is installed in that device, and whatever platform you're receiving orders from, a single receipt comes out. So that's sort of like how I see the product developing, and I think making it mobile is also another way to encourage more users to use it and make it more user friendly and accessible.
Just remind me again. Currently, what's your ARR, like annualized recurring revenue?
Annualized recurring revenue. So this year we're projected to do 1M, and that's what we're raising capital for. So with the $300,000 US that we're raising, currently a third has been committed, so that's accelerating Asia, and that should bring us to $1 million in gross revenue and $260K in gross profit.
So say earlier the screen that you were sharing for the platform, right? Is that a demo, or is that like the one for the store that you are currently sitting in?
For the POS device?
No, the one you're showing earlier, you're showing the orders on this particular platform. Is that for this particular store that you are in, or is this just a demo?
Yes, this is actually for OddStore Pasig. So this is for the current location that I'm in.
Right. Yeah, so I was curious to see that the orders are not happening so frequently, especially in the month of August.
Yes.
How do you get more like orders with greater frequency?
So for us, it's basically e-commerce is seasonal. Right now we're in the middle of Ghost Month. So I think that's sort of like a trend that we see. It's really Q4 where we make most of our revenue. And I think, as of right now, one thing that we're really focused on is actually free deliveries. So that's one of the main things that we're actually going to invest in when we basically raise this round, because we see that as one of the main reasons why Southeast Asian shop, right? It's basically free and fast deliveries. We're piloting it right now with our top 5 franchisees. We're using it as an incentive for them to buy more, sell more.
So when you use the free deliveries, in fact, you're just going to be subsidizing it. It's not like you're going to be having your own riders and your own delivery guys. You're just going to be paying the delivery cost for them. Okay. I've never been to the Philippines. I've never been to Manila. So I have no idea in terms of the convenience store landscape. How does that look like? So maybe if you could help someone like me visualize what the competitive landscape might be in terms of convenience stores.
So the biggest chain here is 7-Eleven. They have around 3,000 locations nationwide. And then followed by chains like Mini Stop, Family Mart, and those are basically the top 3, but majority is a 7-Eleven. The thing about these convenience stores, let's take it from a franchisee's perspective, it's typically not a profitable business because, you know, basically your fixed costs are so high. You spend a lot for rent. The franchise investment alone is 3 million pesos. And only 800,000 pesos of that goes to inventory. So majority of what you're actually paying for is franchise fees, setup fees, and you know, it's tough to make that back because we know the margins on these goods, right? So it's as we've seen actually during the pandemic, 7-Eleven has had to buy back a lot of their locations because they were struggling. So we see that model is broken because it's too asset heavy, and we've experienced that ourselves because we used to own a lot of our stores, and we've since pivoting, it's actually now just focused on this store and really just franchising everything else.
And how much does it cost, like for an annual? So let's say if I have to get a 7-Eleven franchise, right? How much do I have to pay in terms of the royalties? And is there a franchise fee on an annual basis?
Yeah. So as far as I know, it's around 600,000 pesos, the actual franchise fee. That's the last time I checked. I'm not sure if it has changed. In terms of royalty fees, I actually don't have much visibility on that as of the moment, but I do know that they do charge royalties.
And you mentioned that you already have 50 odd stores right now, and we want to grow it to 150 nationwide. Is there some sort of a science to ensure that the odd stores are not too closely located to each other? Like how do you figure out where to open the next one?
So for us, I think it's very early. So we're really in a, you know, cast a wide enough net and see what hits, because it's very early to really say what the hotspots are. I think sort of promising signs though is, you know, I'm currently in a company-owned location, but our top franchisee is actually less than a kilometer away from us. So the fact that they're able to perform at that level while in a way competing with us actually shows that, you know, there's actually possibilities of really expanding via the brands. And that's really why we're also focused on acquiring as many brands as we can, because, you know, the future we see is every odd store sells something different. You know, that's what makes it odd. You know, it's not like you go to an odd store, you're probably gonna find something that you didn't have in the last odd store. That's sort of our way of expanding. It's both, you know, geographically, but also in a way expanding options for franchisees versus what they can.
Got it. Because one of the big complaints that always used to be, at least when I speak to some people that I know who own a franchise, one of the big complaints used to be, because the franchise owner or the brand knows which particular stores is doing well, what they would do is then they will open a brand-owned store close by, and that will cannibalize the income of the franchisee. So that was one of the big challenges, one of the big complaints when it comes to opening up a franchise business. It's interesting to see the direction that you are going towards in terms of making sure every odd store maybe in future will have something different to offer. So for the odd stores, I can't walk into this store right now, right? I can only buy things via the Grab or the Foodpanda app. Actually,
you can. So I mean, if you're my neighbor and you know that I have an odd store, then yeah, you can knock on my door, ask me for, I don't know, a pack of cigarettes or maybe some whey protein, whatever you're into. And I'd sell it to you because that's a sale, right? So, I mean, we're not restrictive in that way. I mean, we actually support that. We make franchisees flyers where they can go around their condo and be, hey, I have an odd store. Instead of walking 2 blocks to the 7-Eleven, just go up to my condo, buy your stuff from me. So we actually support those outlets.
Yeah, I'm kind of giggling because I love this idea of being able to enable people to do their side hustle, and everyone's talking about I want to do a side hustle in addition to what I do for my day job, and here's an opportunity to do that. And it literally reminds me of like back in the 1980s when I was growing up and Margaret Thatcher was in power, but she literally talked about how the UK was a nation of shopkeepers. Basically, she was saying, the economy is driven by trade, and here you're doing exactly the same thing. You're enabling trade at the micro level here, where somebody can say, I've got spare capacity and I've got spare time, so let me host something and make some additional money in my spare time. I really like it. When I first spoke to you about this, I really didn't get it. I really didn't understand the concept of what do you mean I can use my spare space in my condo. And I kept on thinking about, in Singapore we have void decks in the HDBs, and I'm thinking, who's going to permit you to turn a spare place in your housing development board complex into a store? You've got to have permission to do that. But what you actually meant was, I've got pantry space, I can store that stock keeping units in my own apartment, and I can trade. So now it makes sense. Initially I just didn't get it, and I was like really trying to wrap my head around what an odd store would look like. The other thing that typically would spring to mind for individuals like myself who are coming from a Western locations is, does an odd store owner now have to register for corporate tax? Do they have to be like GST or VAT registered, or do they claim it as income and then record it as an income tax? What do they do?
So that's actually something we help our odd stores with. So if you look at their franchise packages, we actually register their business with all the relevant offices in the Philippines. So these odd stores are taxed. They do pay their taxes. In the Philippines, we have what we call VAT, or value added tax. And the way that we do this is we issue official receipts to our franchisees. So basically, the way for them to pay their taxes to show that they've actually bought the goods from us and that they've already paid taxes from us. So that's basically it. We have input VAT, output VAT, and they can actually avail of our the business registration services. Also do include taxation services. So if that's something that they need help in, because who likes doing their taxes on their own, right? Our partners can actually help them out with that by as a third party.
Wow, that's great. Because I think the biggest issue that I could have seen was, these people will be doing it for a few years, then they get caught, and then they're given a tax bill for 3 years of income that they just don't have the money for anymore. But if you're doing this right up front, it means that they're never going to get into that type of quandary later on.
Definitely. And I think, for us, we want to be as compliant as we can. And in a way, we want to educate franchisees on the importance of these things, because sometimes they forget to do it. It's not out of the want to not pay taxes. It's more of they just forgot that they had to do it. So I think it's actually it's on and it's one thing that we want to really focus on, is actually educating them on these important processes, so they don't get hit by those surprises. As you mentioned, who wants to get hit by that bill? Person claiming is the government. So
I was going to say that I feel this odd business model is really interesting. Like what I was sharing with you when we met is such a huge Filipino diaspora out there that they could set up an odd store just as a side hustle. When they move back home after 5 years, 10 years, they could move back and still have a source of income that is being earned in the Philippines. And I think that is, I used to know of this NGO here in Singapore, and what they would do is they would help all of the they was focusing on the domestic workers, and then they were trying to help them set up business, give them some business skills, so that when they go back home, they set up a business, they will not they have a higher likelihood of success. Like here you are, you can be like, hey, set up an odd store, so whatever they're learning, they could already be applying in the odd store that they might have, and it supplements their income. And then when they go back home eventually, which they have to, for certain jobs, they will not have to start from zero and not have to figure out where the source of income is going to come. So I think I like that aspect of the odd concept.
Yeah. Overseas Filipino workers are really, our target market at the moment. I think, again, as you mentioned, they need the most help because they're looking, to go home to something, and we want them to go home to an odd store, to an odd family, making a family business from home. And, for us, the first step and what we're doing right now is getting to invest here in the Philippines, start an odd store here. But, we really see an opportunity, in them starting odd stores abroad as well. Right? Because at the end of the day, they're there to make money. So if we can give them more ways to earn money abroad, then why not? I mean, they'll definitely be interested. And actually, one of the markets that we're actually very interested in is actually the US. I don't need to talk about how big the market is, but one very interesting statistic is there are over 4 million OFWs in the United States of America. Right? Foreign-owned businesses are allowed, home-based businesses are allowed. They have quick commerce platforms like DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, basically just the Grab and Food Pandas of their world. And we already know the cities where a lot of Filipinos are. For today, it's, Filipinos coming back home to odd stores, but I definitely see OFWs, overseas Filipino workers, as our key to expanding to other markets, right? They're going to be our first franchisees abroad. They're going to be our first, they see our heroes abroad and spreading the odd mission. And yeah, we're very excited about working with as many OFWs as we can.
How did you acquire the first 50 franchisees or the first 50 locations?
Actually, for us, it was really a process. So, it actually started with people working at Odd. So our first franchisees are actually our employees. So it was like an employee benefit. You work with us, you get an Odd store, you earn extra income on top of your salary. And this is basically our first way that we got our franchisees, and it would really help the company because their experiences help give feedback on the entire business, on like what franchise is actually worrying about. And then from there, family and friends, once you had that that working model, then we started to branch out to actually joining franchise fairs, getting people to see how an odd store works. And really showing them the technology just so they can really understand that, hey, it's possible to do this at home. And right now we're actually doing a lot of these social media ads where we highlight franchisee testimonials. So I think that's sort of been the biggest factor in terms of acquisition right now. It's really getting our franchisees to talk about their story, tell people, hey, this is possible, I'm benefiting from this, I have an odd store. And that's what's really driving our acquisition right now. It's really just that those testimonials, that proof of concept that people can actually invest.
Well, what's holding you back, Fernando? I mean, is it just the fundraising round that's holding you back from growing your business, or is it something else?
So I don't think there's really anything holding back the business from growing. It's just how fast we can grow. And I think for us, like even franchise, like moving to another province or expanding locations, we actually don't need to invest much because we actually also want to franchise our distribution center. We received interest from people to become master franchisees who run distribution centers, who help recruit other franchisees and sell products to those franchisees. So I think it's really just I think right now it's ghost month, so a little speculation in the market of, should I invest in a business this month? Which we have no control over. But come Q4, I'm definitely expecting growth with or without funding, because I think right now what we're doing is every time we close a franchisee, basically the franchise fee that they pay, we just reinvest that into marketing.
Me and Razi, we had a conversation the other day, and it's triggered my next question, because you could argue that you're very similar to something like Amway or Avon or what's the other one, Herbalife. I mean, how would you counter that type of like comment or question?
Yeah. So I think the main difference with these companies is the brands that their resellers are selling, right? So these companies, they just, like, if you're an Avon franchisee, then you're just selling Avon. For us, you sell 350 brands of your choice. So I think that's number one, it's product selection. A lot of these business models, the way that their franchisees earn is through referral, basically recruiting. It's actually the recruiting fee that they earn from that makes it a pyramid scheme. For us, our franchisees, you know, I mean, I'd love for them to be the ones recruiting, but actually right now they're really just making money off the products. But I think that's sort of like the opportunity that we have. And I think that's the upside of that model. It's you're able to see that, you know, that virality where it's your franchisee starting to recruit other franchisees. And I think what we're offering is a better model, right? There are similarities, but it's better because you're not restricted to that one brand. I think we can have that same benefit of being able to recruit other franchisees, and I mean, we'll reward you for that, which we're actually doing. And you can make money off both of those ends.
No, and that's good. I mean, and it really makes sense now when you explain it. You're not just selling Amway products or Avon products. You are like selling what your consumers actually want, what the end consumer actually wants. You stock what you think you can sell, and it's a very clear wholesale, retail, consumer model. There's nothing unusual here, and there's no coercion to recruit other people into the whole model, which is good.
Exactly.
You mentioned Ghost Month a few times. Can you just share with the viewer, with anybody who's watching who might be wondering what is Ghost Month that Fernando has mentioned twice?
Basically, it's that superstition that August is like the worst time to do business. I think it has something to do with, I don't know if it's astrology or it's the Mercury retrograde or there's a Chinese belief behind it. But generally, there's just a lot of superstition around the month of August. In a way, people think it's a bad time to make big decisions. So, I don't believe in it. For me, it's always a good time to do business, to make more money. But I can't stop other people from believing it.
Out of curiosity, what does your cap table look like now?
Yeah. So we have our major investors are basically Iterative. We have Accelerating Asia on the cap table. We also have Draper Startup House Ventures on the cap table. So those are sort of the institutional funds. And then we also basically have a lot of angel investors, you know, that are into e-commerce. So one, for example, is Ray Alimurong, former CEO of Lazada Philippines. We have Luis Sia. He's basically a co-founder of Paymongo. We have EJ De La Vega, head of deliveries for Grab. Rocky Kodiyama De La Vega, who's like the VP for Marketplace Logistics at Lazada. So basically, our angel investors are a mix of people who are in the space, understand the pain points of the current model, because that model is broken, right? And it's just too heavy to sustain that type of business. So I think that's what really made them believe in our concept, because we're able to share that load, right? It's not us taking on everything. We're able to empower other people to help and earn money from the model. So, yeah.
Okay. And just following on from that, so they're invested already. Now, are they invested in the Philippine entity, or they invested in the Singapore holding company?
So that's for the Delaware holding company.
Oh, in Delaware. Okay, so you're incorporated in Delaware, and they're all investors on the Delaware C Corp.
Tell us about the fundraising. So what's the current valuation?
So currently we're raising $300,000 US at a $3.5 million post-money valuation. and our minimum ticket size is 50,000 US.
And what does an exit look like for odd? So let's say if I was to put in the $50,000 check, what kind of an exit can I expect, and how soon would that be realized?
So I meant, if we're talking ideal world where everything goes our way, and life is just beautiful. I do see this as an IPO-able company. Like, I do want to list this because thinking about it right now, we're already getting retail investors to invest in a franchise, right?
Yeah.
So I think, with that alone, and then sort of all the interactions that a person can have with Odd, either buying from an Odd store, knowing someone who owns an Odd store, or being an Odd franchisee, I think it'll actually do well on the market. So that's always been our dream. But of course, life takes you places, and acquisitions also not out of the table.
So one of the things that has been we've been asked to ask founders, and it's something new that we have included in the recent episodes of Clueless Capitalist, is to ask a founder about advice that he or she may have for other founders. So one question for you, Fernando, is what is one piece of advice that you like to give other founders on a similar journey as you?
It takes a lot of work growing a startup and developing a startup, and it's an immensely rewarding pursuit. But I don't think it's possible if you don't focus on developing and growing yourself. So as much as you are investing in your business, you have to invest in yourself, and you have to realize that those two things are different, right? You are not your business, and your business is not you. And that's really one thing that's worked for me. I guess the way I see myself is I'm like sort of this scientist, like a mad scientist, just trying to make this experiment work, right? And I think, some advice for me is, having sports as an easy outlet for yourself, where you are able to develop your body, your mind, your mental toughness, and especially if you play team sports. So personally, I play tennis and basketball, and especially the team sports. It's actually, how you work with other people with a simple goal of putting a ball through a hoop. So I think sports bring out something within you that I think easily applies to business, because they're both very competitive environments, both require a lot of teamwork, and I think it's one of the things that has really helped me and my endurance in terms of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. One of the key elements there was the business. You are not the business, and the business is not you. To have that clear demarcation between the business and yourself. And also, I like how that the sports, not only was it about like taking care of your body and your mind, but also there's the elements of teamwork that you can bring from sport into your business. And I thought that was an excellent piece of advice.
Just in terms of an odd store related question, you've shown your plan on what you want to get to $1 million. What are the next milestones? Because typically we'd be looking at 10 and 100, but if you were to get to 10 million ARR, what do you need to do? If you were to get to 100 million, what do you need to do? What scaling challenges do you think you're going to have to come across, and what growth strategy do you have in mind at the moment?
In terms of reaching that revenue target, it's really about expanding our locations. And I think the first milestone and the first step towards expanding our market, really getting that first master franchisee, right? That first person to invest in a distribution center, just so that they become our local partner in that location where we expand. So, for example, one of the main locations we're looking at is actually Davao City down in Mindanao. So it's the southernmost island in the Philippines. Currently, I live in the northernmost island in the Philippines, which is Luzon. So we want to find a local partner there, take care of distribution center, and of course, recruit other Davaoeños to franchise an Odd store and grow the business from there. So I think that's basically the first step and the first milestone to really achieving these growth targets. Because once we're able to prove that it works and we have master franchisees doing this in one location, so Davao, then we can find it for anywhere else in the world, right? Because that's what gives us the hyper local advantage, right? I'm not gonna pretend to be a Davaoeño, and pretend that I know what it's like to live in Davao. So these become the proof concepts that we can end up scaling. So from 150 locations to 1,500 locations to 15,000 locations. I think it's really just going to be that strategy of getting a great local partner, master franchise, and get them to recruit their network to join the Odd family.
In order to get it, if you don't mind, Fernando, can you give us a walkthrough of what an Odd store looks like?
Actually, are up for restocking, but you can see basically so we sell a lot of cigarettes. We see a lot of so we have pregnancy tests as well, condoms. We have like beers, Coke. Sorry, can't see it. And then cereals, hard liquor. And then we have like POS devices. Those for new franchisees. We're gonna dispatch soon. And yeah, so it's really a mix. We also have like a freezer. It's kind of dark, but this has the ice cream and another freezer here by my staircase, also filled with ice creams. So like if I'm able to sell my pantry, right, I think that would be a great experience, right? I'm first and foremost buying for myself because, for example, I love to drink beer. I love my beer after a hard day of work. And one of the benefits of living in an Odd store is I always have beer. I go down, I get beer, I drink it. And I bought this wholesale. I bought it 20% cheaper than retail. So it's a cheap beer. I'm not gonna feel bad about it.
Yeah, I think thanks for bringing us on the walkthrough of the ODD store. It's interesting. I mean, I like it so much. So you can vary it based on the amount of space that you have, the amount of things you hold. And like you said, if you are someone who loves to work out, you can have all your whey protein at wholesale prices.
Exactly. I mean, if you're a health buff, you're probably not going to sell the beer, but you're going to sell the whey protein, you're going to sell the vegan meats, you're going to sell steaks, whatever you want.
I was going to ask, I can see that, but just from a look on your face as well, it's like you're basically telling me that this is an absolute deal for anybody. If you're looking to cut down your cost of living, this is a great way to do it, and you can generate revenue too.
Exactly, it's a win-win. It's like sides of the same coin. Cheap stuff can actually turn a profit.
Just one thing that struck me from the walkthrough, you've got all these like freezers and whatever. Do you help with an Odd store owner? Do you help them to procure those things, or how does that work? Or do you expect them to do it themselves?
So, I mean, for us, our general advice is if you have any existing equipment, let's say you have extra space on your refrigerator or your freezer, you can actually use that. You wanna procure, then we actually have partnerships with Medea, Fujidenzo, Tanden. We can actually give them competitive rates compared to, let's say, Lazada or Shopee. So, and we can also facilitate delivery. So we can help you out, and you can also use your existing equipment if you want.
I'm just curious to know, Fernando, like what are some of the risks to the Odd business model that investors should be aware of?
Okay, so I think one of the questions I wrestle with the most is why would someone buy from an Odd? Like why would they buy from you compared to like a 7-Eleven? And I think sort of flip that question around. Like why would you buy from a 7-Eleven? Right, it's the same beer. For us, our goal long term is to provide the lowest prices on market because our franchisees save so much on costs. Like they don't spend on rent, manpower for the business. We want to offer fast deliveries because we always want to be closest to consumer because our franchisees are living in residential areas. And we have hyper-local menus, so we don't have the copy-paste menu of 7-Eleven where franchisees can actually pick and choose what their market wants or needs. I risk a lot of investors see it's a very competitive space, so why would you buy from an Odd store? But again, like I would flip that question around. Why are they buying from our competitors? If we can offer a better price and a better service, then that makes us the most competitive, right? And in a competitive market, you have to be the most competitive.
Thank you for joining us for this episode, Fernando. We've seen how Fernando and Odd are helping convert empty spaces into profitable businesses by transforming them into online convenience stores that deliver in minutes. And I think it's an exciting opportunity in the Philippines. Thank you for sharing it with us, Fernando. And if you're interested in connecting with Fernando, his contact details will be on the screen and also in the description. And if you're looking to be part of his journey, please remember to get in touch. And if you enjoyed this episode, please do like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one. Thank you.